to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Tuesday, March 4th, the Fantasy Footballers, Jason Moore, Mike, the Fantasy Old Man. I'm Andy Holloway. Yeah, Mike, you celebrated a birthday yesterday.
I did.
One of your last.
1 year closer
to the end.
1 year closer, everybody.
Did you do anything to celebrate? Donuts, Carl's Jr.
Yeah, over the weekend.
Ate healthy.
I spent all day at a football tournament for my son.
Ooh.
A haboob rolled through.
Oh, those are fun and when you're
which
outside.
Is, for those who are not living in Arizona, that is a gigantic dust storm. Like, kind of think about like the Mummy.
Yeah.
So
yes,
it wasn't Mummy bad, but it was still multiple hours of just.
You didn't have to fly a biplane out of the storm?
No, thankfully I
Okay.
did not have to do that.
No evil
and there was no
creatures in the
Correct.
haboob.
Just lots of dust and real strong winds.
How have we not had a haboob like movie, like an Into the World apocalypse style movie just titled Haboob?
Because if you've been in one, you're like, this is really, really unpleasant, but I can make it.
Yeah, we're gonna be fine.
They kept playing football.
There was
They didn't take a pause.
Oh no,
Wow.
we kept playing. I kept sitting there.
there was a dust devil out in part of the valley out here that was outrageous in the middle of a kid's soccer game. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not see that one.
It was throwing.
Did it
like,
take a kid?
Almost. It was close. It was throwing like objects all over the place. It was huge. We've got some free agency predictions on today's episode of the show. We got NFL news. We had the Combine. Did you watch a lot of what transpired? I know we didn't get every player we wanted out there.
I didn't watch very much this time, but definitely, got plugged in and we're trying to catch up on the big ones. Yeah, the Combine is unfortunately deteriorating for the high-end talent because there's no need. Like, there's no positive.
Downside is higher than the upside.
Exactly. There's really nothing to gain if you – I mean, these guys have agents who are plugged in. They already kind of have a general idea of about where they should go in the draft. But it gives the, lower-tiered names a chance to shine. And so just look at the big takeaway for me was the running backs. We've got a good chunk of running backs here that could be really fantasy relevant. Now, where the spots, it's going to be very difficult. I mentioned this on one of the shows recently of like running back situations based off of this draft class there's going to be some that will be fully nuked. Like, there's going to be guys that you thought were this. I'm locked in, man. I got this guy as one of my starters heading into 2025, and then bang, a second or third round running back is going to land in your backfield, and you're going to feel uneasy about it.
Well, we will have the post-Combine update to the Dynasty Pass hitting very soon.
Yep.
A lot of updates have already been made. You can get that at ultimatedraftkit.com. We just finished up our giveaway, an exclusive Listener League spot. And, Al, you're going to have to find me some celebratory – can I get the, announcement horn or something? Thank you. The winner of the Listener League spot, we have it here to announce. Jason?
J Rego. I didn't know I was getting a drum roll.
Annihilated the drum roll.
You would not be good at the Oscars.
Now hold on.
And the nominees are.
But wait a minute. Did you know there was going to be a drum roll?
No.
That was a surprise.
I feel like Al took advantage of
yes,
you.
100%.
Either way, you ruined all anticipation. You just shouted the name.
No, I didn't. I had just said J Rego. It is Janine Rego. Someone else out there might be like Josh Rego, and they're like, "Oh, I won." No, you didn't. Janine Rego, you were the one selected.
Yep. So everybody that pre-ordered it, everybody that's a member of the Ultimate tier at jointhefoot.com was entered, and Jay Rego with the win. So congratulations. You'll be part of the Listener League. We'll do a couple other giveaways, obviously, as we head towards the season with more Listener League spots available, and you can get the UDK at ultimatedraftkit.com. Quick question of the day. It's just a carry-on of what you just said.
I already did it.
Were there any other reactions, or is there a player or two?
Yeah, there were players that stood out for better or worse. You had Tez Johnson, itty-bitty baby boy.
That one was sad.
I know.
I like him, and I want him to succeed. And like with the way that the NFL has been, where we keep getting these guys like they're way too small, and then they're exceeding the expectations. Tez Johnson's a wide receiver out of Oregon, and I mean he's small. He's the
smallest player weighed in since 1999.
Yeah, looks at Tank Dell and is
wow.
bro,
Is that how?
What are your secrets, Tank Dell, of how do you get that big?
The smallest since 99?
And he ran slow for the timed 40. Now, it's like if you watch his tape, that's one where it doesn't match, but it was – Tez's combine was a little sad.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson was surprisingly slow on the 40.
Dude, that one makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
There's no way watching that guy break away that's his top speed.
He's not a good sprinter.
He ran a 4.57.
I think he is a good running back.
4.57? I thought it was like 4.6.
Yeah, his official score I believe is a 4.57, which was just slower than what you thought you might see on tape. And truly, like he hit 22.2 miles per hour in a game last year,
which should just be what you know.
Well, that's what happened with like Puka. Puka ran slow, but they had the tracking of him hitting. I think it was 22 miles per hour in college. Yeah. It's like, okay, so on the football field, he's fast. In underwear doing a track and field style sprint, weird. You're not as fast. Which one do you want to play football?
We were begging for years and continue to beg about 40-yard dashes in pads. The truth is we've bypassed the need for that completely because our on-the-field advanced analytics allow us to see how fast the player actually is. These teams should not need to see a guy go out at all and do a 40. You should just be able to watch the film. Now there are some cases, right? You don't play a lot, or maybe you didn't have a breakaway opportunity, and yes, we would want to see some of that on film, for the 40. But you have so much more data, and this is why you said it's being devalued or its impact, the amount of players that participate. Maybe some other players can shine by stepping out and being in that 99th percentile athlete score in the combine. But you have so much film and so much data that you gather from the collegiate ranks now that the decisions are not being made on the back of the combine alone.
Yeah, guys that helped their stock. Omarion Hampton really showed out across the gamut. His 40-yard dash 4.46. That's it's fine. Not breaking records, but that's really fast for a guy that weighs in at 220 pounds. Yes. All of his athletic measurables put him as an elite athlete. I think he combined himself into the first round. He was a borderline first-round pick, yeah. Okay. And when I look at this, but the thing is with Hampton, he projects to be a 3-down back. Like that is his skill set. He was a pass protector, pass catcher in college, and he's big. He can do it all. And so I do feel like for him, for fantasy football purposes, I want that team investment. I want a team to spend a first-rounder on him, because then I know he's going to get the ball a ton. I think he combined his way into that role.
Yeah, a lot of excitement around Hampton. Let's talk some more news.
News and notes from around the league.
We had a trade. We were, with our NFL free agency prediction show today, I had said, hey, we should probably throw a couple names out there that we predict trade destinations, because there's some players that were very obviously going to be traded. One of those names was Deebo Samuel, and I predict Washington.
I predicted the Commanders as well.
You beat me to it. 5th round pick for Deebo Samuel. So a new home for Deebo. It's a weird one. Somehow this is my take on it, and I really want to hear how you think it will translate for fantasy in maybe 1 year in Washington. But I kind of feel like both sides are kind of fine here. Like the 49ers needed to move on. He wanted to move on. They got a 5th round pick. He's been declining in a lot of key metrics for 4 straight years. The Commanders, they could use a veteran presence outside of Terry McLaurin. They could use a guy that's good in short area space. They were a high screen game team. Whether Deebo's the Deebo we saw in 2021, which he's not, right, a 1,400-yard guy, he can still bring something to the table in Washington that they didn't have. So I don't know if I see this as either team losing.
Well, I think it's a win for both. There a lot of people on Twitter have been pointing out the pneumonia gate of how was Deebo doing last year in the first month or so? Then he got pneumonia, and his stats afterwards were real bad. Maybe that factored in. Deebo did not look anything close to the same type of player to me last year, but again, maybe with the fresh start and being healthy, with having some healthy lungs, that will help him out. But he works out in Washington. He's not going to be a guy that the people aren't going to be excited to draft Deebo. It's going to be you're going to get into the 7th, 8th round and be like, I know him.
Does he represent any negative effects on McLaurin more than people being excited about Deebo?
I don't think so. I feel like Deebo's going to come here and help the team a little bit, not a ton. They did need this. We've been talking about it. This is a outlandishly bad, or outlandish is the wrong word. It is a very, very unusual wide receiver draft class for recent history. The prospects are not as good as they usually are coming out into the draft. And then with Tee Higgins getting tagged, the free agent pool of wide receivers, there's not much there. So if your team needs a wide receiver, there's one way to do it, and that's to trade for a guy. That's why, I think DK Metcalf, probably will get traded, because there's going to be teams that need to trade to address their wide receiver position. They can't necessarily do it in the draft or in free agency. To me, Deebo will be a mild addition to this team, and I'm excited for Ricky Pearsall and the opportunities there. You've got Brandon Ayuk, who is – we don't know when he'll be back. Right now, I think the projection is probably start on the PUP, but if he doesn't, he's not going to be full strength.
He might not even be on this team. I mean, right. Diana Rossini reporting that teams have expressed an interest in trading for Ayuk, which fits the kind of narrative that there's not a lot of great instant effect type of guys coming out. So is it a Brandon Ayuk or Metcalf that draw teams' interest if you need a veteran presence? Tee Higgins is off the board. He signed his franchise tag. Or was assigned the franchise tag. Let me rephrase it.
He is officially tagged. The Brandon Ayuk news is strange to me. Of you're about to open the vault for Brock Purdy, and then if you're like, okay, here's your weapons, Brock. It's Ricky Pearsall, who maybe he was he's a first round draft capital, and he showed a little bit of flashes. He had the shooting in the offseason, so he didn't get a full normal rookie year in. But then it's like George Kittle. I mean, it's just, I don't know that you want to start your the real regime of Brock Purdy off without having wide receivers to go to.
Yeah, and like Jason said, Ayuk might not be there for a while, but he's at least a player that could be a dominator.
Yeah, he will be.
We
back
don't know
eventually.
if Pearsall is just a role player type of wide receiver at the next level.
It'll be really interesting to see where Jennings is drafted, because Juwan Jennings was a stud at certain points last year, and it seems like they really need him now.
And Kittle.
Oh, yeah. Kittle for sure.
And all the tantalizing opportunities to draft Christian McCaffrey. Not at number 1.
You're
gonna end up with them everywhere,
I'm gonna be so in.
If they trade Ayuk, or Ayuk starts on PUP, you're going into the season Pearsall, Jennings, Kittle, and McCaffrey.
They got to do something.
And they were a rough offense last year, so there's a lot of work to be done. And this year will tell you what direction the franchise is going to some degree, right? I mean, you just paid Brandon Ayuk all that money, and the fact that he's even being talked about in trade offers.
I heard
it's wild.
The way that the contract was structured with being like additional stuff, like he hasn't I think that someone was saying he hasn't even started to eat into the cap of the new numbers. So I think maybe that's why they're floating of like, is there a way that the 49ers can get out easy right now? I'm not 100% sure.
Matthew Stafford and the Rams agreed to a restructured contract for him to remain with the team, which is also the case for Tyler Higbee remaining with the team. I thought Stafford would be gone. I was wrong. It moved quickly. It went from a lot of momentum towards a split to a lot of momentum that he was going to stay, and then suddenly the deal was done.
Yeah, and so, going forward, this is great for Puka. The fantasy value of Kyron Williams. I think that those two guys – I mean, Puka, you can make a strong argument that he should be the number 2 wide receiver behind Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Anywhere there from like 2 to 5 or something, there's kind of a group of awesome wide receivers. But he very likely could – I mean, he was on a points-per-game basis, if you take out his injured game, he was the number 2 wide receiver last year.
So Stafford is back. Travis Kelce is back in business, returning to the Chiefs for 2025.
Are we happy?
Who's we?
They're like just us, the fantasy football community.
So 97 for 8, 23 and 3.
Yeah, I think we are happy that Kelce is back.
Tight end 6.
He is still, if you were to remove Travis Kelce's name and just have tight end X.
Would you rather have him or Andrews? If you had to lock him into the starting lineup all year long. There's rumors around Andrew. I think that one is a great talk because they were the top 2 guys for so long.
We're saying Andrew's still in Baltimore, right?
Yeah, if Andrews is in Baltimore.
I just mean like today.
Today?
With all variables in play. Just today you've got to decide which guy you keep.
For a redraft, not a dynasty. Because obviously dynasty it's Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, just which one would you rather lock into your lineup today?
Right now I would go Kelce.
I feel like you were in the middle of saying right now I would go and you hadn't decided yet.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. I mean it could go either way.
Yeah, it's tough. The Jets are taking calls on Devonta Adams. Spoiler alert, they're probably not going to find a trade for Devonta Adams, but they have said they will release him if they can't trade him. So you will have Devonta, Rodgers, holding hands, strolling through free agency lane, looking for teams to bring a couple of agent vets in.
Adams can still play, just not at an elite level.
Yeah,
but
Adams
he's still good.
Honestly, and what I was just bringing up. So obviously, if they cut him, he'll have to go. Wait, would he have to go through the waiver system at his year in the NFL? I don't know that off the top of my head. Kyle, vet that.
No, he would not have to go through waiver.
Okay, so then if he is completely a free agent, I actually think he is the most valuable asset that any team can go get. He's not worth trading for the current contract and giving up extra stuff for an older veteran, but there are wide receiver needy teams, and if he is out there, he will have a lot of teams.
He will be hyper specific on where he wants to go, though.
Yeah.
I think it will potentially come with Rodgers. So we'll see.
Yeah. I could see him just going to the Niners.
Go to the Rams.
That'd be interesting.
Either it's some of those California teams. I don't know.
Niners makes
almost
too much sense.
Yeah, it would. He says, "Goodbye, Aaron. I'm going on my own to a better situation for
Remember that team you thought you were going to play
for a ring." Well, because if he was going with Aaron, where is he going? I mean, you've got a Cleveland. You doing the Cleveland combo? That doesn't sound like a good time for Aaron.
No, it's like
where you're starting. You want to go? You're not going back to the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders could use Aaron, but he just left the Raiders. He's not going back to the Raiders. Adams.
Yeah.
You go to the.
I was going to say the Raiders, but
go to the Steelers.
I don't know.
Go be one of the retreads the Steelers have tried on for size.
For all the places that Rodgers can go, it's who do you sign up for if you're Devonta Adams? Of like, yes, this team can really honestly make a run.
I genuinely, truly believe that Aaron Rodgers and Devonta Adams care about nothing but their numbers to finish this out.
Well, that's great for us.
Yeah.
Let's go. Put up some fantasy numbers.
All right, Jason. The Athletics' Zach Rosenblatt believes it's unlikely the Jets will pursue an extension with
early
Breece Hall.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him, man. What he put on the field last year was not special.
Man.
It was an average running back, and I hope this coming season it's awesome, that the team can commit to him. He could be one of, if not their best offensive weapon. He is still so young, and prior to this season,
he'll be 24 this year.
Incredibly explosive. This last year, I mean, we watched, we watch everything, but it was just you would compare him to other players that made things happen on their own, and you'd just be like, wow, Breece used to always hit that edge. Breece used to always break that tackle. He did nothing.
He seemed very – I mean, I've said this a bunch of times. He's very good in the passing game. Get him into some space. Let him get downhill. But like you said, making something from yourself behind the line of scrimmage, that seemed like it was a struggle. It was a struggle to get to those, bigger chunk yardage plays this year. Garrett Wilson is willing to discuss a long-term extension with the Jets. Anybody who wants to talk to me about a long-term extension, I'm willing to have a discussion. That would be my policy. If anybody's like, I'd like to talk to you about a long-term extension, I will be listening. I would not be like, no.
Yeah, that's
because this is payday for Garrett Wilson. So it's like somebody can come in, even if I don't want to play for you, come in and set a number. So, and he is, Hall is entering the final year of the rookie deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Breece Hall right now, I've got him 8th at running back in Dynasty. Jason, you have him at 9th. 9th on your rankings, 30th in your heart.
Yeah, that's because he's on my roster.
Mike, you are still more optimistic, at least.
He's a couple spots lower than that.
6th then maybe?
Yeah.
6-7 range?
Yep.
There has been a lot of talk about Metcalf trades, Packers being brought up. The Packers supposedly, I saw it from multiple good sources that they, at least the message they want out there is that there's a trade on the table that they've presented that involves either Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Doubs and some sort of draft capital. It's being reported out of Seattle they want at least the first.
Yeah.
So
and then
we'll see.
Obviously, Deebo is a little bit further along in the career than DK Metcalf, but if you're chatting about trading for DK Metcalf and then you're like, Deebo just got a 5. You want one of our young, blossoming, solid wide receivers and our first-round pick for DK? If I were the Packers, that would be like, no way, that's not happening.
I don't think the Packers would give up a first plus one of their wide receivers for DK Metcalf. I'm guessing they're floating. It would
obviously be a late first.
Yeah, I'm guessing they're floating their second-round pick, which feels fair to both parties, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. I think that's it by way of news, unless Deucer's Alley, you guys got anything back there?
No, sir.
All 3 of you present and accounted for in this moment?
At this moment.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. Didn't know if we had to hand a trophy over to somebody else.
Dude, I need to get rid of this trophy soon, and I'm telling you guys right now, you're going to want to stop drinking whatever's in your cup over the next month during our show.
You're going to Mission Impossible him?
I'm going to
food poisoning?
Yeah, I'm thinking Dumb and Dumber him, but you're going to be sitting on the toilet.
Drink up and we'll tell you?
Yeah. Down the hatch.
Well, that's frightening. We'll take a break. Back with some free agency predictions. All right. Thursday, we have 10 things to remember. Today, we're going to talk about some of the free agency predictions. The league year starts next Monday. Am I right about that? Next Monday?
I don't know.
I think it's next Monday.
I'm distracted. I'll try and pull something up here for you.
So we are actually going to – we normally record this time of year the afternoon before.
Oh, yeah, okay. League year is Wednesday. The tamper is Monday.
Yes, the
legal tampering.
So when news starts to break, it will be as early as Monday.
Yeah.
We'll record early Tuesday and release it right away. So you'll be up to date the second we release the show next Tuesday for the free agency period. It'll be a lot of fun. Maybe not as much fun this year. I'm not, maybe it's just me, but I'm not as excited about seeing where Najee Harris goes as some of the other flagship free agents.
These are more like you're playing Minesweeper right now. of like there's good running backs in the draft, and if my team or a team with my guy picks up one of these running backs, I'm like, okay, that's not anywhere close to as bad as it could have been.
Fair enough. Let's talk.
Free Agent Frenzy.
Well, before we get into the predictions, I'm going to let one of you two gentlemen talk through a few of the details
Mike's
when it comes
so good at this.
to free agency.
Which part am I talking about?
Well, sometimes we like to do this at least once a year. Just talk through the explanation of what a cap hit represents, what dead money represents. When we talk about,
didn't we just do that?
I think that was the footcast.
I think that was the
okay.
footcast. So, when we start talking about teams with cap space, right? New England, Las Vegas, Washington, they have a ton of cap space. We'll often bring up language around what a player's cap hit would be, what their dead money is. When we're talking free agency, maybe a brief overview.
So the salary cap is the overall amount of money that every team is allowed to spend. In the NFL, it is a hard cap. You cannot go over it. Each team has the same exact amount of money that they can go to. Now they have to. I don't remember the percentage that they have to spend, but there is a floor that was instituted a while back because too many owners were pocketing as much money as possible, which they still can do. But so that's the total salary cap, and then each player based off of your contract, you take up a certain percentage of that, and it gets confusing when you're talking your signing bonus and these things. So then that money gets pushed into later years, and you can put fake years that then you're like, I'm spreading it over the cap. But essentially, the more you play games with navigating that amount. How much do you want to hit right now? How much do you want to hit later? And so teams who have a lot of money, they'll load up and they become attracted to a free agent. It's like, I'm going to get all my money right now. So that's kind of a tactic they can take, or a team who's strapped right now, you push the credit card, like the Rams and the Saints had done that for quite a while.
Oh, the Saints have done that for going on like 13 years. Right. Every year they have no cap space. They restructure some guys.
And look at the team. Like the team is in this purgatory of not terrible, but not a team that looks like they'll be able to make a run.
I will say this.
The Suns would be so proud of them.
When they finally decide we cannot kick the can down the road anymore, which I don't know that they will ever do, but if they do, they will have the fastest route to the first pick in the draft, because that thing will burn to the ground.
Did you talk about dead money? Dead money is the guaranteed
not.
money left on a player's contract at the time they are let go or traded. So the guaranteed money left, and that money will count against the team's cap the following year.
Right.
So there you go.
And the cap going up so much this year. I mean, it's similar last year, but these are massive jumps. Teams have to spend at least 89% of the cap. So it's $279 million this year. That means a lot of these teams, even the kind of penny pinching teams, they have to spend some big contracts. And one thing that I find, I don't even understand how it works. So the NFL as a whole must spend at least 95% of the cap. Individual teams need to spend at least 89% of the cap. But how do you hold someone accountable on that
As the league?
Yeah, so it's like
a group.
Yeah, if the whole league is at 94%. How do you tell that team?
You go to the cheap team?
You go to the cheap team. You got to give out another contract.
It's weird that those numbers aren't the same.
Yeah.
We said it. Next Monday, the legal tampering period begins where teams are permitted to enter contract negotiations. Players can officially sign on Wednesday when the league year begins. And basically today, in a few hours, is the end of the franchise tag deadline. Apparently, now I didn't remember this. We do a few shows. I don't know if you knew that. But Jason is the reigning champion of free agency predictions last year.
That's right.
But I'm not seeing any totals, which means we may be
got them all right.
Don't worry about the totals.
Masking that.
You get one of these right, that's a home run.
All right, so let's start with our predictions for the quarterback position. We have team opportunity pages inside the Ultimate Draft Kit. It's one of the coolest sections of the Dynasty Pass.
Jason,
where you can look at
your first prediction.
You can look at what teams are in need at specific positions. So at quarterback, we know the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, Raiders, Jets, Steelers are some of the teams needing quarterbacks. Sam Darnold.
Samuel,
where's he going?
Jason, please.
Sure, I'll kick it off. This was the one that really
Yeah.
shocked you. I have Sam Darnold next year playing for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think it is ruled out that they would bring him back, especially on a franchise tag. Bring him back for 1 year.
That better happen quick.
No, well, right, sure. But I, this team won a lot of games. They were inches away, basically, or one very bad game away from being the number 1 seed. And I think they don't know what they have in McCarthy. Darnold coming back makes sense if they can find a good enough deal for the Vikings. Now, if Sam Darnold goes out and has teams that are just money hand over fist, we believe in you, we're going to build our franchise around you based on what we saw last year, then he'll leave. But I just don't know if there are teams out there that are going to really, really, really do that. If there is one that's going to do that, I think it's your pick, Mike.
All right.
But I don't know. I wouldn't do it.
So you going with the Vikings, Mike? You have him to the.
I'm sending him to the Raiders, and with the way that the rumor mill has been churning with Tom Brady casually running into quarterbacks in a Montana ski lodge of all the places. It sounds like
Stafford?
Yeah.
Stafford, that you?
Matthew?
What?
What are
That's
the
crazy.
odds?
I just got off the slopes. Hey, you're not even in ski gear.
So
I'm not convinced.
I think that they will be. I think the Raiders are going to be aggressive, and they. It's like the news coming out of the combine of quarterback wise, the notes on Cam Ward, very positive. At least what's being leaked, and I know we're in a weird time of year, but everything with Cam Ward that I read about was positive. And the Shedeur Sanders the news yet again was like, I don't know if teams value Sanders the way that mock drafters are putting this dude automatically in the top 5. He just a lot of teams, or the rumors from teams of he's a second round type of a player. So if you're not, what I'm going with that is, if you don't get Cam Ward, which if you're not at number 1 or number 2, you aren't getting Cam Ward, then you got to do something really aggressive at the quarterback position. And so that's why I got the Raiders going Samuel Darnold.
I'm not convinced the Raiders like Darnold as their guy, so I am going to. So I could see the Darnold goes out, does his tour, comes back, signs with the Vikings. I could see that for sure. But I'm gonna take a shot here with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right,
being the destination for Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson, 2 former Steelers that are now. They could bring one of them back. They could let both of them go. We'll start with Fields, though, just 26 years old, started 6 games for Pittsburgh. They made the controversial switch to Russ. That worked out for them. He was running the football a lot. Mike and I, we have the same team here. We're both going Jets for the Justin Fields destination. They have had some comments about, or it's been reported that they like him. He could be part of a competition there.
The Jets are one of those teams of how do they get a quarterback? And I think Fields would be a fantastic bet for them. He was winning. They were above 500, right?
Yep.
With the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's he
was 4-2, I believe.
If you manage Fields and his gifts, I think you can have a competent starting quarterback.
Yeah, I agree completely. I've got him going to the Browns. If it happens at the top of the draft, kind of like what you're saying, and Shedeur isn't or Dart. If those guys aren't the right fit and they want to take a defensive piece,
I think the Browns might be able to get Cam at 2.
I think I would be shocked if Cam doesn't go 1, because not necessarily to the Titans, but it seems like other teams, whether it's the Jets,
I saw the Giants rumors,
the Giants trading up to 1. Those rumors are
the Browns
flying, sure, or the Browns.
I think the Browns could flip up to 1 to grab the guy they want.
Absolutely, but if they don't, then I think Fields makes a lot of sense for their team.
Remember the great Terrell Pryor days or moment in time in Cleveland at quarterback?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those were fun
Pryor
days.
I thought he was still wide receiver.
No, well he started quarterback and then went wide
he was
receiver.
Quarterback for the Raiders.
Cleveland. Yeah.
What a year that was.
That's what I mean. It was just out of nowhere. Russell Wilson, I have him going to the Titans, and likely an opportunity if the Titans trade out. If they decide their quarterback of the future isn't quite there, let Russ compete with Will Levis.
Let Russ compete.
Yeah, that's the new. Just let him compete.
We've dropped him out of the kitchen completely.
Yeah. Let him find his way to the kitchen. I've got Russ going back to the Steelers.
I do too.
The Steelers kind of seem like they're going to pick one of these two guys and sign him to a contract, so I've got him picking Russ since they picked Russ last year.
Unlimited.
That's how I feel about it too, Jay.
All right, let's look at the I know what you wanted to put.
Yeah, I'm still going to do it.
All right.
Unlimited diarrhea.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
Looking at running back needy teams, let's go through the free agent running backs. We'll be looking at Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, J.K. Dobbins, and then anybody else you want to talk about. But starting with Aaron Jones, Mike and I, we're in sync again here. We think he's coming back.
I'm being boring with this one.
I know. I hate doing it, but Vikings is the pick for both of us.
It feels like a good move for this team.
Let's run it back another year.
Take Jones here. They'll need to draft somebody because apparently that moment in time that we had with Ty Chandler looking like he was going to be the next starting running back for the Minnesota Vikings, all the way to they have banished him from the field, and you had Cam Akers doing okay as a backup. So I think it makes sense. Get Jones, draft a running back later.
Yeah, I could see them doing that. I have him going out and trying to get a contract anywhere he can, and I've got him going to the Browns.
Is everyone going to the Browns, Jay?
Well, two of the players so far that I've mentioned are going to the Browns. It will be him and Justin Fields.
All right, no Browns predictions for this next guy. Najee Harris, 27 years old, 1,000-yard seasons, just getting it done, but likely to leave Pittsburgh this offseason. And we actually have 3 different destinations for Najee Harris. I have him going to the Raiders, who need to figure out what to do at running back.
I have him going to a team with massive amounts of cap room to be able to spend on a running back.
And they already spent cash on a running back.
They did, which they still need running back help. And I think Drake May could use a veteran, someone that can come in there and establish it. So I've got Najee going to the Patriots.
I got him going to the Giants, which I think no matter what, someone's going to the Giants. So if you got Tracy and Najee showed up, I would count that as a potential blessing that you like talent-wise, can Tracy beat out Najee, where Tracy beating out one of these higher round rookies is much harder.
Yeah, you're saying the free agents would be a better situation for Tracy than the rookies.
I think so.
Nick Chubb will be departing the Browns potentially, and 2 straight years with season-ending injuries. To me, it feels like the Steelers are a potential reclamation home for – I mean, it could be Chubb and Warren there. So I will go with the Steelers.
I've got him going to the Bears to be kind of the David Montgomery.
It would have been great if you said Browns
again. Going to the Bears to be that David Montgomery to DeAndre Swift, kind of the poor man's version of the Lions.
And I got Harbaugh of the Chargers getting himself another cheap veteran
injury
running back
situation.
Yeah, he did it last year with J.K. Got like the production Dobbins put up on the contract he was on was like, that's a huge win for the Chargers. So I'm going to say they try and do it again.
All right. Once a fantasy football dynasty darling.
Oh, man.
Just 24.9 years old, but it feels like the career is over. Javonte Williams, I have him going to the Giants. I heard
you say just 29 years old, and I'm like, yeah.
Feels like it.
Javonte is 29. No, he's not.
It's 24.9.
How, Javonte?
I agree somebody's going to the Giants backfield, so I'll go with Javonte.
I've got him going to the Colts to be a backup. I know a lot of times when you're doing the free agents, it's always like who needs a starting running back, but they need someone better behind the oft-injured Jonathan Taylor.
And I got Javonte going into a competition with Mr. Jerome Ford. I'm picking someone to the Browns.
All right, J.K. Dobbins, I have him going back to the Chargers, that they work it out to get him back on the field. I think that was a good fit, and I don't think it will be that expensive.
Yeah, that's where he should go. The Raiders are where I've got him going.
I've got him going there too.
They are in desperate need of help, and he's available.
Mike, you have him there as well.
Yeah, I think Dobbins have priced himself out of the Chargers. That's just that's the gut. And good Lord, the Raiders running back position is I mean, it's so brutal right now.
Well, did you hear the big news though?
Oh.
They might be willing to let go of somebody in the backfield.
Oh, yes.
Did you hear who that was?
Was it Zamir White?
Zamir White available for trade if anybody wants that.
Oh my God.
We don't really want to, but if someone
pays enough, that's absurd.
That's like if you want him, you got to come in here and get him. But then all the gates are open. Like you show up at the facility, all the gates
There's
are
no way
wide
you're getting
open.
in here.
The security guards are turned around.
I feel like
don't you dare steal this guy. Feels like a joke.
It's like trying to get someone to clean up your dog poop. Like, I've got a really nice pooper scooper. You should check this out. Why don't you use it?
Are you Tom Sawyer people over
yeah,
here?
exactly.
Let's try it out. All right, we'll take a break and we'll talk about wide receivers. Yeah, the Falcon chimed in. He's like, oh, it'll be a breaking trade where Zamir White and a 6 goes for a 7. Okay. Tee Higgins, he would have been the exciting prediction. I predict the Bengals.
Me too.
So, which I think he tweeted and just said tag.
He did.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah. All right. Unrestricted free agents, though, starting with Stephon Diggs, who is on his last leg, quite literally. Tore his ACL in Week 8, 31 years old. Obviously, we know Stephon Diggs does not lack any amount of confidence in his own abilities, and he could go and contribute someplace in a reduced capacity. Just hard not to look at him and say you're entering your final, you're entering your Titans Julio phase of life. But
you know who's willing to pay for quality old wide receivers?
Who's that?
The Panthers.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Adam Thielen to chime in.
Oh, I'm so sorry. He's asleep.
Yeah, it's nap time. So I think they've got enough money. They're trying to get some weapons for Bryce Young, and there's not a ton out there.
Big enough for the both of us.
Yeah.
I will go with the Ravens.
That team's going to be sponsored by Metamucil. When you need to stay regular.
Ironic, because the quarterback's name is Young.
Oh, that is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Young surrounded by olds.
Young surrounded by old. So you went with the Panthers. I'm going to go with the Ravens. Mike stays in the NFC North.
Ravens makes sense. I'm going Steelers.
And you went Steelers. Yeah, the Ravens still have needs on the offensive side. They've dealt with injuries. We had Zay Flowers hurt at the end of the year. Bateman, hard to rely on him. Diggs would be a good – like that's the right place to bring him in, where you have Henry in the locker room, Lamar in the locker room. Diggs can come and contribute. Maybe to a capacity greater than Deontay Johnson did.
I think that would be pretty easy.
Mike has him going to the Steelers. Similar situation there where they have a need. Keenan Allen is almost 33 years old, 15th all-time in receptions. That's right.
58 more receptions this year, and he enters the top 10 all-time.
Now, Mike,
That's
I see
wild.
you have deleted the team.
What?
The team that you had in here.
I filled this out last week and
making a change?
May have overlooked it this morning when I was making everything good, because I had the Manders down, but with the Deebo,
with the Deebo trade.
With the Deebo trade.
Quick pivot. I will go.
Jay, you might look at the next
looking
guy.
at Amari Cooper over here. That's a good point, Mike.
Well, look, I'll put
you buy some time.
I'll put Keenan Allen. Let me name the guys that he's behind on the all-time reception
why
list.
don't you just talk about all the teams that could use Keenan Allen?
He's behind Jerry Rice and Larry Fitzgerald and Marvin Harrison.
No, the
Chris
teams,
Carter.
the wide receiver needy teams.
If those guys were playing this year, what teams would want those
try
players?
to guess what team I put him on. It's one of the 32 NFL teams. Plays in one of the 2 conferences.
Whoa, slow down.
Plays
slow
in
down.
one of the 8 divisions.
Okay.
You go ahead
and talk about your thing.
I'm having back for a swan song with the Chargers.
That would be so much fun.
That's what I'll go with.
That would be really great. I have him going to the Chiefs. He has played some really good football. The last couple of years, he's looked great. And DeAndre Hopkins is not under contract. Juju this is basically, I think, an upgrade right now, even though he's older, for Patrick Mahomes, his play style to come in. This is a player I think maybe he will take less money because he's at the point where he'd love to just chase that championship.
Sure.
The Chiefs can't afford much, so maybe he'll come in a little bit cheap.
All right, the team that I had Keenan going to the whole entire time. I mean, it's the Saints.
You've been talking about this around the office.
Yeah, the Saints
a lot.
guys have been pumping this one up. This is my can't miss.
Yep, you've
Keenan
been saying
to the
Saints.
Uh-huh.
And then Amari Cooper.
I've got the Saints. I think Amari Cooper going to the Saints is perfect. It's just been like Mike. This is the huge debate as to
Which
who
guy?
the Saints are going to grab between these two players.
It could be both. My bad.
I will go with the Chiefs for Amari Cooper.
I'm sending him back to Dallas.
Yeah.
Maybe some unfinished business. I don't think Amari Cooper will be really expensive. And
He could be finished business himself.
He could. Man, what a weird year for Amari Cooper to come off of finishing 2 years ago the way that he finished and then turns into this.
It's a good reminder to fantasy players. It's really hard to switch teams midseason and contribute.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't get like Hopkins to the Chiefs. Okay, he had to play here or there. It wasn't big. It wasn't integral. Integral? Yeah, nailed it.
I don't know.
It wasn't. You can't not go through camp and join midseason and be
old.
Yeah, and be old.
old.
Because I do think you can change midseason if you're great. Amari Cooper was he went to a wide receiver needy team with a great quarterback and did jack squat. Now, granted, didn't he break his arm or wrist or something shortly after getting there?
Small injury.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure he broke all those things.
Shattered his arm from his shoulder to his finger.
They removed his arm, right?
Played like it.
Chris Godwin, we all have returning to the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before, but the injury that he suffered, I think will price him back to the Bucs.
Wild card for him, for me, would be the Cowboys that you mentioned with Amari Cooper.
That'd be a good
Because I do think the Cowboys, I didn't have them as one of my predictions for these guys, and there aren't a lot of great they'd be a trade candidate. The Cowboys got to figure some stuff out on the offensive side.
What'd they trade for Tolbert?
Oh.
Didn't they trade like a fourth or something?
I don't think it was that much, was it? Kyle, do you remember?
Oh, Mingo, not Tolbert. I'm sorry.
Tolbert,
Thank
Mingo.
you, Mingo.
Yeah.
Jonathan Mingo.
Tolbert just was their own player. That's fine. Mingo and Tolbert are fine.
What was the Mingo trade? Yeah, it was a fourth.
Okay.
A 4-7 swap.
Yeah, maybe they think they've got it figured out. But we're not talking tight ends because there ain't nothing to talk about really.
There's nothing real fun unless you guys.
I think they said Tyler Conklin's not going back to the Jets. You care about that?
No.
Nope.
No.
I mean, honestly, the landing spots matter more. It's like does Ertz go back to Washington? Where does Gesicki had a couple spike weeks? So there's some interesting players, but it's more about with the players who are free agents right now. It's more about where they go.
All right, let's do a little mailbag.
Mailbag.
Ooh, yeah. All right, Instagram question from Mike says, in a dynasty league, would you rather have Devonta Smith or Tee Higgins? Which I think is it's a pretty interesting question there. It might depend on whether you believe Tee Higgins is going to sign a long-term deal with the Bengals, which is not a guarantee, but I think it's going to happen. So
at this point, I think Tee Higgins does re-sign, and I'm going to go Tee Higgins.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Wow, you're the Smith guy.
I love Devonta Smith, but Tee Higgins, when he has been on the field for the Bengals, is a fantasy star more than you realize. Like, the injuries have plagued him, and that would be a reason to maybe go Devonta Smith. But I don't think that the injuries are just a guarantee to always happen. I don't think he is injury prone. I think he's just had injuries. We've seen that in lots of players. And if he's on the field, he is more valuable for fantasy on the Bengals offense with the Bengals defense than Devonta Smith is on the current version of the Eagles.
TTT. All of our answers are the same.
That's dangerous.
I said it slowly. The website, we had a question, is Isiah Pacheco a buy low candidate for the 2025 sweepstakes? Says, thank you. You guys rock. I think we talked about him a little bit on the Footcast. Maybe it was on the main show. But I think we're all pretty afraid that they're going to take one of these meaningfully talented running backs in the draft.
I would say, I am. Overall, I'm very afraid of his position and what his opportunity is going to be. But if you can actually trade low for him, I don't know.
You don't mind it?
Yeah, but I mean, it has to be low because I think that him in particular, he's in a really scary situation.
Middle of the second round, non-super flex rookie pick. Would you rather have Isiah Pacheco or the second round?
Dude, we are in the middle of
non-superflex?
Non-superflex.
I think Pacheco.
We're in the middle of our mock.
But it's final year rookie deal for him.
We're in the middle of our mock for the Dynasty Pass for edition 2 that's coming out here for the update. And we're in the second, and there's
Caleb Johnson gone?
Oh yeah. He's long gone, but it's just there's still fascinating running backs going in the Ollie Gordon went in the back of the second round.
It's tough because Pacheco was so important and so valuable.
Right, but
then his final year rookie deal on the injury and didn't come back and play well.
Obviously, if they were to roll back go into 2025 the way they went into 2024, Isiah Pacheco would be great for fantasy. I don't believe that's going to happen.
No.
He didn't come back strong from the injuries. In the final year of his rookie deal, they need future anyways, and with a deep running back draft class, I think they're going to bring someone else talented in, and then that could just completely ruin Isiah Pacheco, both immediate term and long term.
I love this question here. Tommy Reed writes in on Instagram, who makes you more optimistic for Brock Bowers? Veteran quarterback or rookie quarterback?
Veteran.
Yeah, I would say veteran. I mean, if you say, Darnold or, Shedeur Sanders, it's definitely Darnold.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
But what if you said, Aaron Rodgers or Shedeur Sanders? Because veteran quarterback does not Darnold. What if Russell Wilson or?
I think it would be pretty much all of the veterans.
The hard part there is obviously, I think you guys are right. I think in a 1 year, redraft scenario, that is 100% true. But if you're a Brock Bowers dynasty manager, do you hope that they make the move for their future now to try to get that stabilized?
I'd take Sanders over Rodgers if that were the case, or
right.
That would be my hope.
Right.
Well, the nice thing is if you've got Rodgers, he's clearly a stopgap. They're still looking for their quarterback of the future. I don't believe this draft class for quarterbacks is great. So I would rather them go with, if I've got Brock Bowers from a dynasty perspective, if I get Rodgers this year and then they're probably going to be bad, then maybe they can get a quality quarterback next year that over the next 8-9 years is better than, if you're not a Shedeur Sanders believer and that's the guy that's falling to them, then that ruins Brock Bowers or could potentially ruin him for 4 years while they figure that out.
He's going to play as well as he could possibly play with what he's got, and it's going to be pretty good for fantasy. But
the quarterback play for the Raiders last year was not good.
Right, and he was outstanding. But some more touchdowns would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that is going to do it for today's show. We got 10 things to remember on the Thursday episode, so don't miss that one. And then the free agent frenzy begins next week. Next Tuesday, we'll already have some news about that tampering period before free agency, and we'll have some answers as to who wins the free agency predictions this year. So if you want to get into the action, the Dynasty Pass available now, ultimatedraftkit.com. Get the UDK Plus, or join our community at jointhefoot.com. We'd love to have you. Take care.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.